An opportunity to get this broadcast. Man, my shirt is wrinkled. But I had to bust it out of
the We Are Love shirt?
Bust it out. Of storage. I just hadn't worn it in a while, and maybe I should have ironed it, but I think Wilmington's facebook.com/InWilmDE. We try to welcome local, Wilmington community members and movers and shakers. And I mean, Ivan, you were already on the docket to come on and join the show before the events of this weekend. But then after the events of this weekend, it seemed only appropriate to move you forward and to bring you on as today's guest. In Wilmington, certainly debated on whether or not we were simply going to stay silent this week. Obviously, right. Not silent. We certainly have posted our thoughts on the matter, and our hearts go out to every member of the community who is struggling, in these times, facing these times, especially members of our Black and Brown communities. But it only seemed appropriate, since you had already been on the schedule, to just bring you on and have a conversation that, you and I have been able to have so comfortably as, two racially different folks from different side of the tracks, like we like to joke anyway and say.
No, what did we come up with? It was the fence. Well, your side of the fence and my side.
Your side of the fence. That's what it was. Yeah, I keep saying tracks, but it was fence. And we used to proudly kind of joke about that. And obviously this is not a time for us to be cracking jokes, but it does make me, I don't want to say happy, because I don't want to use any positive terms right now to describe anything that's going on this week, but it fills me with hope to be able to bring the two of us together, two people that have been able to communicate so seamlessly without any bit of tension, confusion, whatever ever come between the two of us. And we've had some very deep, eye-opening conversations, and I feel like it's eye-opening on both sides. So I've always appreciated and valued our friendship. I love you from the bottom of my heart. You know that. I just feel like I needed to tell the nation that. But today, first of all, I want to express my gratitude on behalf of our entire city for the truly heroic efforts that you took this weekend to bring Wilmington and beyond the news, the coverage that we needed, that unfortunately, reporters of other colors were not able to do safely. And, our hearts go out to the reporters at WDEL who had been physically assaulted and their phones stolen. And I'm sure Delaware Online probably had similar struggles, but you were able to face the crowds, you were able to face the protesters, you were warmed and welcomed by all, including the police, and it was a beautiful thing. So I want to start by saying thank you. One of the first comments that we had came from Jeffrey Santoro. No question, just a comment. Please offer a huge thank you from all of us in Wilmington for his determination, passion, and professionalism. His live feeds during the peaceful protests and subsequent deterioration of our city community helped provide a much-wanted, needed information. His reporting gave us hope and calm. Thank you, Ivan.
Damn.
And
wow.
Yes, he said it perfectly.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. You know, you know what, you ever do something because it's just in you to do, and you don't do it for views, you don't do it for accolades, you just do. And that's what happened that night. It was, I was on the phone with Dennis. Dennis, if people don't know, Dennis is the left side of my brain, right? He helps me with logistics and how do we get stuff done, just like how we're multi-streaming this across all 10 platforms. And I'm like, Dan, we got to do this, he was like, just go. And my conversation driving down there with Dennis, it was like, he was just saying to me, like, we are the visual media that people forget about. Like, we serve a community that, excuse me, got something in my eye. Whew. We serve a community.
So you're not crying already.
No, I'm trying not to. I'm trying really trying not to. We serve a community, and it's humanity is who we serve. But there's a total just like we don't exist news outlet for Black and brown and impoverished communities. It's stuff that we don't get. And Dennis was like, yo, people need to see this, Ive. You got to, and I'm like, I'm on my way. And that's what happened. I went out there and let me start off with saying, shout out to WDEL reporters. They did their very best. It was a shame. It is a shame what happened to him. When he ran down, I think the gentleman's name is Mike, when he ran down the street, I was like, no, don't go. Like, I'm like, you're cool on like 8th and Market, where everyone is, but don't run down there. And when it happened to him, that unfortunate incident happened to him, Senator Darius Brown reached out and was like, Ivan, it's like he threw the bat signal in the air, right? And when I got down there, I was like, I'm looking around. I swear to you, I'm looking around like, oh snap! Like, this is our city. So it was a very, very, crazy time. But I'm bad.
Well, and I really do thank you. I live just a couple blocks from where, from the heart of it. I mean, I walk up. I walk up Jefferson right into the heart of downtown, and I could certainly hear things from where I was sitting, but I never once felt scared.
Right.
I understood the intention. I understood where the focus of the protesting and what unfortunately turned to be disruptive protesting, where it was concentrated and why it was concentrated there. And I was never worried about it coming into my hood. I live in the hood, and I'm proud that I live in my Wilmington hood.
Right.
But seeing you there, like, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be downtown. I knew it wasn't safe for me. I knew that was the one and only time that I can ever say that I wouldn't have felt safe downtown.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy. So,
but you gave us an opportunity, those of us who have never, ever, 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 ever felt that way, and honestly step foot on the streets next morning not even remotely concerned about our safety, and we will not be concerned about our safety. But you gave us the opportunity to be there in the way that we wanted to be, and really, we shouldn't have been.
Right.
So thank you for that, and I want to take this opportunity, because it just slipped into my mind, to thank Eugene Young for being active on the streets, scooping up literal children and taking them home. Yeah. It was a beautiful thing to see. As soon as things turned south, he was there and ready to just save like he does. And he should be home right now, dusting off his cape. It was Eugene Young and Derek Chambers. And a lot of people may not know Derek Chambers. Derek Chambers is an amazing guy. And again, those two, when I saw them out on the street that night,
You know, Eugene came up to me and was like, Ivan, are you okay? You good? I'm like, yeah, you good? Yeah. What you doing, Eugene? And he was like, I'm rounding up these kids. These kids are like, it's like 6, 7, 8, 10-year-olds out here. And I mean, the heart that you have to do to leave your family, to come into that gathering. I'm not allowed to say that word, the R word, okay? To come into that gathering and say, you know what, I'm going to scoop these kids up and take them where they need to be, was just simply like heroic. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to keep those two gentlemen, and I know they don't do it for accolades either, but that was just heroic again in itself.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful thing to see, you know, the next morning. You know, I mean, countless politicians and community members take to the streets. You know, shout out to Downtown Visions and City of Wilmington Public Works, because there had been a you know, unofficial kind of community cleanup that was scheduled for 9 a.m. And by the time everyone got there, I mean, the streets were pristine. Obviously, there were storefronts that still needed a lot of help. And, you know, we put on our gloves and masks and rolled up our sleeves and got stuff done. But by noon, it was like, holy cow.
Noon? Try 9 o'clock.
Whoa, yeah.
9 o'clock, I walked out there like, whoa. Okay.
But really, by noon, the insides have been cleaned up too, you know, and of course, a lot of small business owners are sitting there in confusion and heartbreak, and our heart goes out to them as much as it does, you know, the Black community that is facing what it is facing nationwide right now. And you know what? We can say the R word. I'll say we're grateful that the riot, if we want to call it that, of Saturday night, you know, it didn't turn into the riots of 1968.
True.
And that's something that is very, you know, it's a crazy thing to think of coming off the 50th anniversary of that, that we're still in a place where that is even needed and necessary. And, you know, normally this show is a very, very lighthearted one. Normally this show is all about positivity. Normally DETV is all about positivity. But I think it's very important that today, I use my opportunity and white privilege and voice of white privilege and community platform, which certainly has no racial affiliation, but you know, a strong community reach, to talk about a topic that should not have to be fighting so hard for people to understand why it is still relevant in 2020. And I feel like you can agree that it's a time that maybe DETV doesn't have to be 200% positive today.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. This is a time in our society that we are now, unlike any other time, have white people saying, yo, that is wrong, and we need to fix it, and we're standing with you. I was talking to my mentor the other day, and he was saying to me, he's like, Ivan, like, look, let's not forget that it's only been 50 years. Like that is our parents. And I remember the stories that my dad had coming from Newport News, Virginia, on what it was like growing up as a black male there, like waking up and seeing the a cross burning in his front yard, you know, at like 15 years old, and what that was like. And now, you know, let's fast forward 50 years, we still have the same problems that's hurting black and brown communities. And we're talking about from education to the judicial system, like, and it's hard. I was talking to a great friend of mine, Tommy Abel, the other day, and I was telling him, I'm like, look, I know what it's like. I understand why people feel the way that they feel, and feeling that way. And I remember at 16 years old being pulled over by Wilmington PD, drug out the car, and repeatedly screamed at, saying, You know, who car is this? Where the drugs at? And I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? And it was nothing. And sitting there and then in a holding cell for a long time. And let me give you this. And I want to say this. We understand that we are not anti-cop. We love the police, and police love us. We understand that. It's bad apples in the bunch. So I don't want to say like what I'm saying and think that you know, we're anti-cop. No, we're not. We're not anti-cop. There are some good cops and there's some bad cops. You know, but at that time we ran across some bad ones at 16. So that feeling and understanding that people's voices aren't being heard or being muffled, it's 50 years later and it's still being done. So yeah, we have a great opportunity now to bring people to the forefront and say, my white sister, my white brother, you know, let's talk about this. Let's come up with a solution. Let's come up with something right now. And that's what we're doing on our platform as well with Good Morning Wilmington, is we're going to have this conversation and we're going to bring, you know, people, and I don't want to say just average people, just the people of the community to the table with politicians and with business owners and community business owners to talk about how do we move forward? How do we fix this? Because we all know it's a problem. And we got, oh God, girl, we got so much to talk about on this thing.
I know. And I'm incredibly excited for the community conversations that are coming out of, or that are going to come out of this, because I have full confidence in our city to come together at the table. But I want to go back to touching on a comment that you had made, and this is my story here that I'm going to share is not specific to Wilmington Police, but I was speaking to another Black friend of mine this morning on the phone, who knew I've been really upset over the last couple of days. I mean, I think I spent 4 hours pacing the same 4 feet of my house on the phone last night, just ranting, like feeling like there's nothing that I can do, but the truth is there is something that I can do, and I can use my voice, and I can use my white privilege, and I can, you know, I can join the fight from where I mean, it started before today, but it's going to start officially today here with what we're doing right there, and it's going to continue far into the future. And I can promise you and, you know, your community that. But he said something about he rides his bike a lot, and you know, walks doesn't have a car, you know, walks around, and he said pretty much anytime he's walking late at night and a police officer rolls by, the first thing that they do is stop him and say, "Do you have any drugs on you?" And I said, you know, it's crazy. I walk home from Chelsea Tavern, you know, getting off my shift at 3-4 in the morning, and the first question I'm asked is, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?"
Wow.
Like, wow. And
don't know what that feel like. Damn sure don't know what that feel like. Wow.
And of course that makes me feel good, but I never even thought about what it would be like if my skin was a different color. This has been, you know, I was the epitome of white privilege growing up. Like, I went to Catholic school, kindergarten through 8th grade. My family struggled, but we by no means were wealthy. And, you know, I can certainly relate to some broken household drama. But I still was white, and things were still very easy for me. And my, you know, as much as I absolutely love and adore my grandparents, like, looking back on things, they were actually racist. They were very racist, and it was covert racism. Like, and I think that even bled into my parents a little. But my parents, I'm so very proud of them, because they, you know, as we've continued to grow, just as humans, have shed all of that. But you don't realize what's ingrained in you, whether it's from your parents or just society in general. You know, I'm a big anti-fear. I hate the use of fear in politics. You know, I feel like so many wars are driven by fear. You know, religious wars become so people just become so divided over fear. And that's why I hate to see fear of a race right now being used to terrify a nation, because it's just, I don't know. I'm going all over the place. But I'm going to go.
No. When you look at and this is one of the reasons why we created DETV is because when you look at media in itself, media has a way of for years. We as blacks haven't been in this area for a long time in the space of media. Right. So if you take media and you take how powerful it is and you use like the fear tactic, right, and you're showing a designated race how this race is basically like 3/5 of a human, right, and you get that consistently, right, and in a compelling way for 200, 300 years, it's like people have no choice but to believe, like, yo, here come Ivan walking down the street. He's either going to rob me, or he's going to rape me, or he's going to do something that cause me harm. And that is how it's been. And especially now with the dog whistles that are being blown from the higher ups, that we're like, we're animals. And again, this is the time now that we all can use our individual privileges to make the world, to make our state, to make our cities, to make our neighborhoods and our communities better places. And that's what it is. You look at. And I use the analogy, I speak in a lot of analogies because I'm just a storyteller. And you look at your favorite food. What's your favorite food?
Me personally?
Yeah, your favorite food.
Ooh, pizza.
Okay. How many ingredients does it take to make pizza? It takes a bunch of different things to make that final pizza, right? So that's what the world is like. And that's what we are like in our communities. It takes different types of ingredients to make one thing. And you can't just say, yo, I want pizza, and pizza is the only ingredient. That's how we are right now. It's that you have black culture, you have white culture, you have Spanish culture, you have Asian culture, and we make this buffet of a human race that can live, learn, love, and create and provide and move through society in a beautiful way. Now is the time that we can do that. That's what I believe.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But it starts with, and this is why I'm so happy to be able to do this as a white person, and there's a comment that just came up in the feed from Steven Self. White people need to speak up and use the privilege that comes with our skin tone. However, before we talk, we need to listen to our black citizens about their experience. And I got into I won't call it an argument because it's of a good friend of mine and we will never argue, but I got into a conversation that I did not expect to get into with a friend of mine last night who is very open and spiritual and loving and empathetic and accepting. But she didn't understand why I got very upset when she said we were talking about systemic issues and education in particular. But she didn't understand why I got so upset when she said everybody has an opportunity to get out. And she was raised in a very rough neighborhood. She went to a very rough school. She got into a lot of trouble and she turned her life around because she took her opportunity that was presented in front of her. And I said, until you can know what it's like to have an entirely different skin tone, you're not allowed to make statements like that. And the other friend that I was talking to this morning, brought up the hearing things. He's a very, very well-spoken, incredibly articulate man. He hears all the time, wow, you don't sound like a black person. Like, that is some of the most blatantly racist things that people say without even realizing that they're being racist.
I got one for you. Oh, you speak well for a black man. Or you look good for a black woman. You look good for a black woman. Like, can you imagine?
First of all blacks look good because black don't crack, right?
But you imagine, and this is the thing, is I would never know what it's like being a white man. I would never. I don't know what it's like. And listen to this. It's something as so simple as this. I don't know what it's like growing up, eating around a dinner table with the family. I never seen that growing up. I saw it with the Cosby Show, when the Cosby Show came out. That's what we had. That was our closest thing to seeing what a black family that's not in the ghetto looks like. Because when you look at, again, and we go back to media, and you look at shows like Good Times, right? And Good Times was something we were happy to see. I remember we were happy to see blacks on TV, but we're seeing blacks on TV that could never get out of a situation. And that's one reason why the father of Good Times left, because he's like, yo, the writers are white, and the writers are keep putting us back in. Every time we about to get out the ghetto, something happens. So, and I say that because a lot of white people, they don't know what it's like on our side of the fence. So it's easy to say, you know, everyone got an opportunity to get out. That's not true. Imagine with the systematic racism with education, that at 8 years old, at 3 years old, at 4 years old, that can you imagine going to school hungry, and then you want these kids to learn, and then at the age of 8, that they already know if you're going to go to jail. And then they're building jails, and they're investing investing in private jails for you. Like we have been set up, you know, to fail. The prison to pipeline, like all that's real. And to some people that grow up and sitting at that dinner table with mom and dad and saying, hey, are you going to, what school are you going to? To a lot of people that are in Wilmington that are now successful, had to fight through that and fight through positions and being called certain names and not getting certain positions just because they look like something that was on media, on TV. That is like, good God, I think we all should have a cape. I think everybody should have a cape in their closet, because it's hard.
And thank goodness that they had those mentors that showed them that other way. And that was the conversation with my friend went in that direction, because she and I are both yoga teachers. We both practice, you know, mindfulness and meditation. And I said, look, and my point was, education shouldn't be up to the districts. It shouldn't be up to the people voting. It should be an equal right for everyone. It should be treated the same, regardless of, you know, the economic development that it is that particular location is in at that point in time. It doesn't matter, because the children are our future, all of them. We all should be treated equally. But where we did get into a good conversation was, you know, perhaps short term, one of the things that I know I really want to focus on as I build, you know, that spiritual side business of mine is working with the schools to get more mindfulness training in at a younger age, give these kids a different way to deal with the anger that they're seeing, the frustrations that they're feeling, because they might not get it at home. They might not have a mentor like Jason Avias from Fly Yogi, you know, showing them that there is another way. They may never meet Eugene Young face to face. You know, thank you to all of the mentors that we do have in our Wilmington community, but it is obvious that more is needed, and not just in our community, but nationwide, worldwide. This is a conversation that we need to be having on a global scale, and just on a whole different level. And sure, it starts locally, and obviously that is important, because you need to empower your community. But you know, I truly believe if you and I could have conversations like we do on a regular, that the world listened to. You know, we'd be building our masses in no time.
And I think, again, I think this is the best time to do it, because everyone is listening. And remember when I first created DETV and you and I met, our thing was, and shout out to my homegirl Shoshana, our thing was to create a, what you over there singing?
We were so much.
Well, we wanted to create something for Wilmington that allow people to see people having a good time. without any, just see people having a good time, regardless of race, color, love. And that's how we came up with We Are Love. Regardless of race, color, sexuality, we're humans first. And that was a huge part of what we did. So, no, I'm with you. This is the time. And I want, like, I got a comment right here from Abundance Child. If you don't know Abundance Child is an entrepreneur downtown Wilmington off the waterfront who has a Drop Squad Kitchen, who's all 100% vegan, and she's awesome. And her comment says, I hope Wilmington, the people, use the time to educate, nurture, heal, and recognize sometimes that the remedy is more harsh than the problem. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that, you know, I have faced a lot of backlash and quickly dwindled my friend list down on Facebook because of the way that I reacted to what happened to our city over the weekend. And while my heart is certainly with the small business owners, it is obvious that there is a need for a movement that is going to grab the attention of people. And hi, Maddie.
You hear her, right? You hear her.
My dog was trying to join in the conversation too, so I know everybody wants to get in. So as you know, as sad as it is to see, I absolutely understand why it is necessary. Did I want to see things turn destructive? Of course not. But what has peaceful protest done?
Right.
You know, what did kneeling do?
It did a lot. It did a lot, right?
Yes.
But sometimes, no, I don't even want to say that right now. It did a lot, you know, and shout out.
Sometimes harsh things.
Sometimes
get greater responses, and they lead to greater progress and better change. And I hope, I don't have faith that we're handling this properly as a nation, and I hope that the destruction that is occurring, you know, the traumatic events that we do see unfolding are enough to wake up the entire American population. But unfortunately, and this is where I'm going to go ahead and take my In Wilmington hat off and speak to you solely as Brianna Hansen, her own personal opinion, that in no way reflects the campaign that I am representing and the platform I'm using to speak to you all on right now. But you know, I don't think that that our president is handling this in a way that is going to lead to anything positive, and anything that is maybe not anything positive, but it's not going to bring about the discussion and the change in the way that it needs to, because unfortunately it's vilifying an entire race and ignoring the plight that they have been living in for their entire lives. And again, as a woman of white privilege, you know, my white friends don't know what it's like to not be able to sleep at night wondering if your children are going to come home safe, or if they're going to be dead because of a routine traffic stop, or walking from the corner store with a bag of Skittles, or playing with a toy gun in a park. Like, we don't understand what that fear feels like. And until we do, this fight is necessary. It's not over. And to you know, I have many spiritual, wonderful, empathetic friends who will say, I am peaceful and loving to everyone. I treat everyone equally. Why should past racism be held against me? Because the rest of the people who look like you don't get that. And even you probably don't get that because you've never had to experience that. And you should be expressing nothing but gratitude for that, and nothing but service to those who are.
You're absolutely right. And I think God, I wish, like, the stories. Anyone watching this, I want you to please put your comments in. I'm monitoring comments on my side. She has comments on her side as well. This is a great conversation to have right now. I remember just like growing up, and there were, like, when we went to high school, right? And in our high school, I went to Glasgow, and in our high school at that time, it was literally like blacks over here and whites over here. Now, we were cordial. We spoke. Hey, what's up? What's up? And I can't imagine how it was for people that's around 65. And I don't know, have you ever seen like the old videos of black people just saying, look, I want the right to vote? Have you ever seen the riots back then when when the protests, when black men and black women were holding signs that says, I am not 3/5 human? Like those are things that are embedded in our DNA. Let's take this. Let's do this. I'm a black man with a media company, right? You know how many times I was overlooked just because of the color of my skin, and then my white counterparts, right, would make quadruple the money off of a project when they just felt like feeding me bird seed? You know what I mean? Can you imagine, you busting your butt? Like my mother's from West Virginia, right? Mountain number 12. And growing up, right, they teased her brother so bad because he had a speech impediment. And my mom said, God, if I ever get out of here, I promise I will teach every black and brown kid, I would give them my all. My mother had just retired 2 months ago, where her body wouldn't let her do it anymore, because it was just so important for her to make sure that no other child, because lack of resources, would have that problem. There are so many people in our community, and one thing, and let me make this straight too. When you look at Martin Luther King's his marches, what you see in the crowd is white people, right? That's what we need right now. We need our white brothers and sisters to walk with us, to get when they are in that room, and they're saying, "Hold on, I'll be right back. Let me go grab my man." You know what I mean? Because we need to be there too if we're going to make change. Change. And now is the time. So I'm happy that we have whoever in office, because one thing that he's doing is he's making people see what humanity is really about, and what reality is really about, and what hate is really about. So for us in Wilmington, no, I believe we're going to get. I don't even believe anymore. Believe is just yeah, I know we're going to get through this, and we're going to get through this together. White, black, vegan, meat eater, you know what I mean? Christian, and who's a good friend of mine? Rick Jensen. Rick Jensen.
We were just talking about yesterday how we have completely different opinions on a lot of things, but he's a great guy you can talk to, no matter what.
No, and he's like, yo, we're going to make this work. We're going to fix this problem. You got a white Republican and you got a black Democrat, and we both hold huge platforms, and we're like, yo, we not with that 45. We're going to make this happen. That's where we are in society.
Because we are love. We got to bring this back.
Yo, you're the fifth person that said that. Fifth.
We do have to bring it back. We do. All right. So I want to let's talk. We're talking things on a national scale here. Obviously, the things that happened, that are still continuing to happen in large cities all across the country. Yeah. We've seen a lot of very, very traumatic things. Minneapolis. We have a question from Rick Sabatini.
Okay.
So, Ivan, do you think the politicians in the city of Minneapolis, specifically the police chief and mayor, hold any responsibility for the actions of the killer? Should government officials be held responsible for the actions of police? And would a protest centered around the demanded resignation of incompetent politicians be helpful for the country, or would it further split the nation? We're going to start there. His comment goes on, but I'm going to let you respond to that.
I think so. So I think that people should be held according to what they do. I also think that for 8 minutes, was it 8 minutes? Like, walk back and forth. Like, he could have pushed his homie off of him. He could have said, yo, that's not right. He could have did that. I also think that if police have a jacket in their jacket that there's a problem with them in their community, they need to be reprimanded and handled. You know what I mean? Because, again, a lot of people don't understand what it's like when you got to go to your 16-year-old son and say, yo, when you get pulled over, all I'm worried about is you coming home at night. You know, I think that down the chain of command, up the chain of command, that, hey, we have an officer in our community that's not doing right by the people. Let's get that officer out of that community, because that officer going to kill somebody, going to hurt somebody. Yeah. That's what I think that needs to happen. A lot of people ridiculed the mayor, Mayor Mike Przicki, about, the chief, about people, about not turning their hoses on people in Wilmington, the people that were doing their thing on Friday night. I told you I'm not allowed to say the R word. And could you imagine if they would have turned the hoses on people? Could you imagine?
But look, when I watched the hoses roll out, I was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. But thankfully, them rolling out was kind of enough to settle things at least a little bit.
Well, they rolled them out. They rolled them out because they were worried about the corner store catching fire. Because I ran down there and I asked them, like, yo, what y'all going to do with these hoses? Because, triggers. That trigger of the older people at home watching my feed, they'd have saw them hoses come out, we'd have been 1968 all over again. Right. Can you imagine if the police officers didn't hold their restraint? Because I was flipping out too. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, yo, why aren't these cops doing anything? Why aren't these cops doing this? But imagine if one of those cops killed somebody by mistake. Right. By mistake.
I honestly want to give so much credit to the way that the Wilmington Police Department did handle things and how much respect they showed to protesters for so very long. And I mean, I watched your stream endlessly from the moment you started till the moment you stopped, and then the morning all over again. Right. So, to say that, like, I mean, there's obviously so many sides to every story, but what was beautiful to me was and sure, there might have been other ways to handle it that led to less destruction, but we didn't lose any lives, and we allowed, these protesters the right to exercise their right to protest for as long as humanly possible. And it wasn't, until, I mean, it had been, I think, 2 hours of police warnings to clear the streets, unlawful gathering, 2 hours of warnings before they released tear gas. Like, that to me is a fair way to handle something. Of course, it's devastating, to our business community, and that is not to go without acknowledgement. But that's not what we're talking about here today. I absolutely respect the way that WPD handled that. And Ivan, watching you get tear gassed was so hard for me. Like, I just started bawling my eyes out. And I mean, that was finally what took you off the street. But I still think you ended up coming back on after that somewhere else, didn't you?
I took it like a champ. I came back on. I'm
fine. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing about any of this, but I just love you so much that
that moment. So that moment was crazy, because I was like, okay, did they shoot something out of the tank? Did they? And I was like, okay. And then next thing you know, it's just, woof. And I was like, oh shoot. So it took me 2 days to recover off of that. Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, but
what does that? Can I ask you what does that feel like? Like, if
your eyes are just burning, right? And it's hard to breathe, and you want to rub them, and you're knowing you shouldn't rub them, and you're like, I can't, and then it's in your throat, right? It's like taking over everything. And it's on your hands, and when you rub, it makes it worse. It's like you.
So, like, you were cutting jalapenos and you accidentally snorted some.
No.
I'm sorry that I've never accidentally snorted jalapenos.
I was gonna say, no, see, that's what we're talking. Her side of the fence, my side of the fence. I ain't sniffing no jalapenos.
You cut them, you wash them, you think it's off your hands, and then you touch your eye and you're like, oh.
Damn it, dang it, man.
I'm sorry that I'm laughing right now.
It's cool. It's cool.
I brought a beer just in case I ran out of my water, and I ran out of my lemon water, so I'm moving on to my beer.
Nice. It's been a heck of a week.
It's been a week. I'm like, I need a beer. So shout out.
Who's your beer provider?
Well, it's not, Dewey Beer Company. I had a friend, a wonderful friend, Mary Ellen and Keith dropped off Dewey Beer Company to me. I absolutely love their stuff, and they were at the beach this weekend, and it's been on my mind for a while. This is called Swishy Pants. It's an unfiltered IPA made with Galaxy, Citra, and Mosaic hops. It's absolutely delicious. Okay. You wouldn't like it because I know your style of beer, but I feel like I got you into sours. They have a Secret Machine series. Yeah. It's a blueberry, blackberry, raspberry sour. It's phenomenal. Nice. So I got both of those right now. And also shout out to Big Oyster Brewing Company, another phenomenal Delaware brewery, just absolutely crushing it. These two are some of the best brewers in the state. So,
well, shoot, while we're handing
out for drinking at 3:50 in the afternoon.
No, don't worry about it. So while we're handing out drops, Drop Squad Kitchen. Make sure you check them out. Abundance Child, put your address down there so I can tell them what the address is. Right next to Timothy's on the waterfront. If you are looking for some amazing vegan food, that will just the V steak. The V steak. Have you had that? Amazing. Make sure you check her out. Abundance Child at
everything there is amazing. Yeah. There's sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I order delivery just so I can get a milkshake from there, or a cashew milkshake from there. Nice. Oh, so good. They're so good.
You know, the day I walked into the TV studio, right, preparing for this right here, and I got a letter mailed to me by Mandy Poe. Mandy Poe. It was the mail lady dropped it off, and she said, and again, when you do things and you're not looking for accolades, like stuff like this touches you. You know, she said, "Thank you for your coverage for the protests and riots. Your coverage was calm and sensible. I have worked in Wilmington for well over 22 years, so I'm very involved and concerned with the well-being of the community, small businesses, and the struggles. These events won't help their livelihood. Your coverage made very clear that you are a community leader. So thank you for being involved and reassuring us during this hard time. Your new fan, Mandy Poe." A lot of people, they know we can get through this. And again, thanks, Mandy, for this. If you're watching, we're going to get through this, and we're going to get through this together.
There's absolutely no doubt in our minds, because we know our community better than. I think most, at least citizens who don't get terribly, involved in community affairs, and there's no doubt that we have the people, that we can pull the people around the table to have the conversations necessary to, incite the change, and I think. I really do think that all community organizations that you constantly see at the table all kind of feel the same way. They absolutely understand you can't just talk the talk. You have to walk the walk. The city released a beautiful statement on Sunday. I think it was Sunday. Yeah. And it was hard because, I had kind of accidentally gotten a glimpse of the statement before it went public. And it was beautiful. And I immediately reached out to Rego and said, this is absolutely gorgeous. But then, the night went south and I wasn't sure what was going to change. And basically nothing changed. They didn't change what, they just wanted to acknowledge that they heard their Black community and they're ready to listen. It wasn't, they didn't address the destruction. They focused on the message that we need to be focusing on right now. Yeah. And I, it's a beautiful thing. It's unfortunate that it takes a harsh circumstance, but it's a beautiful thing to watch communities come together. And I just hope that we can see this kind of movement nationwide. But I want to get back.
But
oh, we are, but I mean, you know what I mean.
yeah, I know
I
what
hope
you
that
mean.
this continues once the dust settles.
Right.
So I want to go back to Rick's comment, his question that we had started on, which you answered. But then he followed that up with also, if politicians in Minneapolis were forced to resign due to public pressure, do you think that that would create political incentives for other politicians, police chiefs, and police unions to ensure that evil and criminal police officers are removed from the force before they can commit terrible atrocities? Oh, I guess, okay, so I guess we did kind of touch on that as well.
When you look at this, right, when you look at the history and of America, and the mayor said it best last night on Sunday night on a DETV show, Communities Crossfire with Storm and Oliver. The mayor said that we have to deal, we have to talk about and fix America's sins, right? When you think about a long time ago that there are politicians that are extremely racist, right? And they'll let things slide. So I think right now the hardest time, and watch what just check this out. You're going to find in November that a lot of things are going to happen. So blacks can't vote, people of color can't vote, because people are fed up now. And we understand that the way that we beat this is voting. So if those politicians are removed, I bet you will see a change in how just disadvantaged and underserved communities, they get the things that they need. They get the funding that they need. When growing up, and we had on the east side People's Settlement Community Center. Like, we have no more community centers here in Delaware, in Wilmington. So where the black kids going to go? Where the brown kids going to go? Where the Spanish kids going to go? We don't have.
Well, we're on the verge of reopening, those. So let's thank.
Is that your dog?
This is. Yeah, I've been trying to keep him at bay, but I can't anymore. It's easier to let him join than listening to him whine.
The dog wants
Apollo is joining the fight.
Hey,
he is
Apollo.
with us.
Nice.
And trust me, he's a good one to have in a fight. So.
That's all right. He's a pit bull. He's supposed to.
No. Your big ass out when you come over. So.
Yeah, he's just like, there's a big, like, 500-pound baby. Like, yeah.
And he really is. It's ridiculous.
So let me ask you this. You said you cut some friends off, right? What were some of the other things that they were saying, or what made you cut them off?
Well, there were some people who I've kind of observed for years and knew that they were kind of covert racists. And sometimes I give people the benefit of the doubt because, it took me, and by all, look, I probably haven't even shed 100% of the racism that was ingrained in me. Like, I will catch myself. And, usually it's like when I'm walking late at night through a bad neighborhood, I will catch myself being like on edge around somebody. And then I'm like, well, wait, did I just do that because, he's black or Hispanic or looked like something out of like, a rap video? Like, right, I don't know. Right. Like, but I question myself doing that, which is an important part of the process. But it took me probably the last 15 years to really kind of shed all of those things that are just socially acceptable, overt, or covert forms of racism that I didn't realize were a bad thing.
Like what? I'm curious.
See, now, because I've been shedding these things for so long, you're going to have to give me a minute to think about it. Okay. No, here's one that I was, not that I ever said all lives matter, but I was like, the understanding of why all lives matter was offensive to Black Lives Matter was something that was confusing for me at first. Saying this is a great example because I used to say it all the time, saying I don't see color. I used to say it all the time. because I don't. But now I understand how offensive a statement like that is. You know, denying my white privilege, you know, because I have had faced some other trials growing up, you know, and trying to, like, not that I ever tried to, like, compare it to the same point, but, you know, like, I don't know, I thought it was okay for me to say these things because I had it rough sometimes too. And I never understood, like over the years, like things like the celebration of Columbus Day, like there's things that I just never even thought about that are covertly racist. And it wasn't until I took the opportunity to, like, learn more about the fight and the history and, you know, beyond just what's taught in the textbooks, and look at things from, I mean, put myself in somebody else's shoes in a really hard way, that I started to change that behavior. And it took, like, parts of that were hard for me because I am a very spiritual, open person. I love everyone. Everybody has a chance, like, until you screw me over like 5 times, I still keep giving you chances. So I never in a million years would considered myself a racist. And you know, like, I want to sit here and say that I'm not, and I'm just praying that every ounce of that inside is gone and every single bad habit is broken. But, like, I still have to question sometimes because I don't know, you know, and I don't know if I'm making sense.
What? Let me. You know, you're making a lot of sense. So let me ask you: when you saw the video as a white woman, right? What did you think? What was going
of Saturday?
No, of
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. When you saw that video as a white woman, like, what did you think? What was going through your mind?
How in the heck can there be people filming this, walking around, talking, watching this, witnessing this, and literally doing nothing to stop it? Like, I'm the type of person who would throw myself, like, I don't care. I end up shot, like, throw myself in the middle of something to try to stop something like that from happening. Like, and it blew my mind that not only that officer, but the other 3 officers, I believe that's correct, there's 4 officers in total, were not immediately, like, arrested immediately, like, once that video went live. And I watched a video I wish I didn't watch the other night. That was a mashup of, but I needed to see it. You know, it was I try really hard because of how, like, empathic that I am. I try really hard to not watch these violent videos. I read the stories so that I am informed and that I know what happened. But it's very hard for me to not watch them and break down into tears and feel every ounce of the pain that, you know, like, their mothers and brothers and sisters of, you know, in every sense of the word, are feeling. And I watched this mashup. It was probably about 10 police brutality videos straight in a row. And they weren't all against Blacks, but the majority of them were. And I just sat there bawling, but then I wanted to throw up for, like, the next 6 hours. I couldn't sleep. Like, and that's how it blows my mind to hear people say, like somebody, you know, wants to, like, spout off statistics. Well, you know, statistics really prove that African Americans aren't any more likely to be a target of police brutality than any other race. I'm like, the simple fact that we're trying to even, like, justify why it is okay in any world that police brutality is a thing, regardless of race, like, what is wrong with you people? Forget the statistics. There is police brutality happening, and we're not doing anything to stop it. That is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's how I felt.
So right now, like right now, and if you're watching this, like Brianna and I, we have two different platforms, right? Media platforms. So right now, Brianna, if you could give a message, if you could tell a message to the people that's on your platform, your white friends, your white viewers, what would you tell them right now?
If you think that you're not part of the problem and you're not actively presenting yourself or participating as part of the solution, then you're wrong. Mm. And again, I feel like this conversation has gotten very personal, and perhaps I shouldn't be having it on the In Wilmington platform. But, you know, the In Wilmington platform has always been one of diversity and inclusion. And actually, one of the things that I've struggled with, and it's one of the reasons that I've partnered with you on many things over the years, I don't know how to reach communities that I'm not, regularly involved in the best way. And I wish I could do more of that. I wish we could shine more light on our urban community. And I certainly do my best to with the knowledge that I'm working with, but I kind of wish I had more on the inside. And, you know, I have to give thanks to Richard Rawl and J Street Jr. And Terrence Vann. I miss you so much in our city, man. I wish you didn't leave. Because they, do help me connect to aspects of the community that would have otherwise been forgotten sheerly by mistake, not intention. Our intention is to be absolutely diverse and inclusive. And
no.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, but no, we're talking about in Wilmington. Yes.
In Wilmington, yes.
No, in Wilmington, no, because I know I was there, a part of the conversation. And J Street, Richard Rawl, Van, all other amazing guys that I remember in 2015 are, forefront making it happen. So shout out to them.
Oh, and I can keep going on and on. There's, go ahead. You can keep talking.
No. It was, I just remember, like, a time in Wilmington, and we could talk about the growth of Wilmington and where we are here now. And I think that was one of the things that hurt so much was remember growing up in Wilmington and the separation of white and black people when Wilmington was the credit card capital of the world, right? That you had, I remember all the urban stores, the black stores were up to I think 6th or 7th Street, and then after that it was like the banking area, and you would never see white people coming downtown, down on 6th or 7th Street, and to where we are now, it's the people they feel free to walk up and down, and something new to me, right? Because born over South Bridge, raised over South Bridge, and raised over East Side, to see white people on 4th Street was something that you never seen before. You know what I mean? So you can imagine that what we had Hanifa, shout out to Hanifa. Hanifa had Drumbeat magazine, and that was to keep us up to date what was going on in our community. We had the bookstores, we had the kitchen spots, we had a lot of stuff. And now to see, and what hurt so much that night was to see all the effort that people gave and giving to make Wilmington a better place. And I got Abundance said, shout out to Iz, and shout out to Michelle. Shout out to you guys to see how everyone.
I should have shouted out Abundance too, and Iz, and I can go on and on and on with the community that helps me connect with the community that I don't regularly connect with. And
like 302 Guns Down, like people in the community that live there, they live in the war zone, they live in Beirut, and they're like, nah, we're gonna come up with a nonprofit. We have to come up with something to stop kids from killing and people from killing. And I just when you see, when you hear them, and when it takes people like you and your platform and to say, hey, Richard Rawl, come do a concert, which I believe we need some more Richard Rawl concerts in Wilmington. We need that. we need that now, because now is the time to bring the Richard Rawls and the Iz's and the Abundance Child to the community and say, hey, what's it like being a black woman? What's it like being a black man, an entertainer? Tell me your experience, because the one thing, the way that we learn is through stories. So if you hear those stories and you can and you can be involved, and you can see the pain in their eyes, and you can see the triumph through these pains, and you can see the scars and the stripes and the whip marks on their backs and the whip marks on their arms, you can say, now I think I understand. I think I get the message. I think, look, how can I help you? That's the conversation that we need to have, that we're going to have right now. Because, again, we can pull and we can sit here, and I don't think this is going to be thrown under the rug. You know, we can all make a change right now. And either we do or we die. This is mainly it. And shout out to everyone that's doing something.
And shout out to everybody who's commenting, because this is
you got a bunch on your
pop-in feed. So shoot, I was trying to bring that full circle somewhere, and now I lost the comment. Oh no, so do something on the just the sheer topic of do something. Claire Nestor asked, you know, what local organizations, Ivan, would you recommend donating to support the Black Lives Movement in Delaware? Are there any in particular that
302 Guns Down has one. What I like, and I think it needs a lot more press is Richard Rawls Foundation on what he's teaching kids history and how to not just create the music of, you know, they're creating atmosphere.
Beyond the Bars.
Yeah, Beyond the Bars. It's not just about music. It's about culture. It's about self-love. It's about bringing people together. I think Richard Rawls Behind the Bars is definitely
I think it's the Cultural Restoration Project. I think that's his nonprofit's name.
Yeah. I would definitely look at that rate when you can and contact him. He's in my feed right now, Richard Rawls. So yeah, and Abundance in my feed. Can you put some more nonprofits? Guerrilla Republic is one. Yep. Guerrilla Republic is one. 302 Guns Down.
Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League of Young Professionals does great work. If you want to support the arts, you know, within the Black community, CCAC, Christina Cultural Arts Center, phenomenal programming for youth that are looking to get into dance specifically, but they do a lot of great work. Let's see, just West End Neighborhood House, of course, Kingswood Community Center, of course, the Teen Warehouse. We can't forget about our friends over at the Teen Warehouse. That whole project is absolutely incredible. Latin American Community Center, Reed's Refuge.
Delaware Art Museum. Now, let's keep in mind. Museum. And Network Connect. Let's keep in mind, what I want to say is that these are people that been through hell's fire and said, I need to make a change. You know what I mean? These are people, and can you, again, imagine trying to create something when people say you can't. And even if they don't have, 8,000 kids or 8,000 sponsors, I know at least 100% of these foundations that we just mentioned are funding themselves. They're doing it themselves. So any amount will help. So make sure that you definitely reach to these organizations that's in these feeds and say, how can I help? One thing that I learned after the We Are Love project that we had in the park, I had a conversation with a lady, and she was like, Ivan, as a white woman, I don't know how to help. I don't know how to ask, can I help? But I want to help. So I think that is definitely it right there. If you are white, black, Hispanic, whatever, that want to help, just reach out to myself, reach out to someone and say, hey, how do I help? And we'll lead you. We'll take you by hand. We'll lead you down to the mountaintop and make it happen.
You got to ask. You got to start that conversation and remind me, because I want to get back. I want to let you tell your story about the We Are Love. Right, we're gonna wrap this up around 4:30. This is by far the longest conversation we've ever had. If folks want to see it continue, we're gonna do another live stream on Thursday. So drop some comments below. If you want to see us take round two at this on Thursday, we will do that. Otherwise, I think we're gonna go dark for the week. Just out of respect for everything going on. But if not, then Ivan and I will go live on Thursday. I want to get back to the We Are Love talk, but Joe Shelsky, who he's the head of the Delaware, the GLU, he is kind of behind the whole Our Night Out, for the LGBTQ community within Wilmington. He just messaged me personally and to say, I had to get he's still messaging me. Hold on. I had to get some errands done, so I couldn't watch your whole conversation with Ivan, but I wanted to thank you for the transparency, and I thank him too, but he hasn't responded to my friend request.
So Joe, like, I actually reached my message, and I have another 2,000 friends that requested. So I got you, bro. I got you. If you can, dip over to the DETV group page and follow us there. But I'll definitely get to it, man. I swear to you, I will, bro.
You're a popular man. I know.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it. As long as I use my influence for the passage and the rights of good, I'm okay with that.
And he said, you know what, as queer people, we're very aware of the value of protests and riots. There's only so many times you can get ignored until you gotta get more forceful. And that's why I want to thank my board for supporting, my approach to how I wanted to address our response to this as in Wilmington. I didn't want to talk about, I wanted to focus on the compassion that needs to be extended to all. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to focus on rebuilding. I didn't want to focus on, basically saying like, we're so sad to see the destruction. I didn't want to focus on that because that just completely discredits the original message.
No, I get it. I get it.
Our heart is with our city, and that's kind of what, what I wanted to share. And they more or less kind of let me word for word run with that. And it's not too often that an executive board of 11 people lets you just kind of do that. But I will say, it was very hard to find the right words because, especially as a woman of white privilege, and a lot of people know that I'm the face of the campaign, so there's no separating myself at times. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to find the right words. I never want to offend anyone, and I know that.
You should tell them about that thing that you wrote that you sent out to like 800 of your black friends. Like, yo, what do you think about this?
Shut up. I may or may not have pre-screened it with my black friends, but you didn't. Most of you had nothing to say because, I try my best to not.
You tried your best, man. You tried your best. You gave it your all. You gave it the old college try. I'm not even gonna lie, but it was a well-written piece. So no, I totally get it. I want to say thank you for providing this platform to have this conversation. This is a well-needed conversation right now, and again, if you guys are my audience, please follow in Wilmington when you get a chance. They'll keep you up to date with a lot of the arts and entertainment things going around the city. And her audience, follow DETV. Just click a button away.
Heck yeah. So it's DETVCH, right, on Facebook?
Yeah, DETVCH on Facebook.
And we're in Wilm DE.
Yeah. And the great thing about this right now is we are actually with this feed, with this conversation, and I can't wait to part two, is that we're playing it on TV right now so if you're home and you want to turn on channel 28, you will see us, or 1097 in high def, you'll see DETV. Brianna, you did a heck of a job with this today, and thank you.
Hold on, you're not wrapping me up yet. I know you gotta go.
No. I just want to say thank you from the Black delegation. From the Black delegation. I
thought you were trying to kick me off already.
No. This is your show. I'm good. I'm chilling.
I thought the reporter came out of you for a second. No, I thank you. You do not need to thank me, but I appreciate your appreciation. This is, my heart does what it wants sometimes, and I'm just great. Again, I'm grateful to have a supportive board that allows me to have conversations like this that are important. There's nonprofits that are going to remain silent because they don't want to seem politically affiliated, or they shy away from affiliations, and in Wilmington is all about being the voice box for anyone and everything. So why would this be any different? Thank you to my team and my supporters. Maria Cushing has a question. Ivan, what's your message to our community who want to stand up and fight for what's right in relationship to the president's address yesterday?
Yo, oh my God. This is how you beat a bully, right? Unity. Besides punching him in the mouth. Hitting the biggest one. Unity. There's a message that is sent, and there's a message that's sent when people can look at, I'm a 6'5", 365-pound black man. There's a heck of a message when you see me locked arms with a white person, an Asian person, and whatever, right? And just say my man Joe, right, who represents the G&L, right? And there's a message to say, look, no matter what you do, we gonna team up and we gonna beat you. We need to do that from here to the end of the earth, to say, look, I understand. Well, where I might not understand, I support this brother to my right or this sister to my left. And that's the same message from me to say, hey, to my man Joe, you gay and lesbian community, look, it's wrong at the end of the day. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you live your life, long as it's great and good and all that. But what I do care about is I'm not going to let someone put their knee on your throat. Let's just look at that. I'm gonna put my knee. I'm gonna let someone put their knee on your throat, and I'm going to watch. You know what I mean? We're not going to let that happen. I think that we show unity. We speak out about everything that's wrong. Come and have just don't have a conversation. Come and hear. Come and ask questions. Yo, Abundance, what you been through? Ivan, what you been through? Just, I know you got a black person in your feed. What was it like for you to grow up? And just listen. And then ask them, what movies do you need to watch? There was a movie that came out years ago, Roots. And to this day, it still brings me to tears. You know what I mean? There are things that when you see and when you understand, you now become a part of. And it rests in your subconscious and it rests in your nervous system. And then you get tired enough that you feel that you got to take off all the piece of clothes that you used to wear and put some new garments on and say, yo, I'm gonna rage against this machine. I'm gonna stand with you, and I'm gonna fight with you, and I'm gonna love with you. And I don't care what you look like. I don't care what color your skin is. All I know, what I care about is the blood in your that pumps through your veins is the same blood that pumps through my veins. It's all about unity right now. It's and a lot, and I feel that I need to say this, just because I don't even want to say that. I don't want to say it. I think unity is my thing, and I'm sticking on. I'm staying with it.
All right. So I think. Well, hold on, because I think the response you just gave, I think that gives an answer to the people who were sitting inside watching the protests, but not necessarily the ones who were already actively fighting. So a lot of these protests we've seen, we've seen people of all color. There were tons of white people downtown supporting the protests before they, went south, and probably only exited for their own safety, which, was probably the perfect decision given that time. And, the way the turn of events. But what about?
You talking about last week's
I'm talking
protest,
about.
right? Here in Delaware?
Yeah. It was absolutely like diverse. There was a great diverse showing.
Which one?
And could it be
the protest in the morning? The protest
during
in the morning?
the day? Like
okay.
Yes, all day long. Very diverse. Could there have been more? Always, of course. But the pictures that I saw and what I drove by, and I actually was sick on Saturday, which is the only reason I wasn't out in it personally. But yeah, I mean, I had tons of friends that were there. It was very, very diverse. So that, aside, I think Maria's question is more to the community of protesters who want to physically protest right now and are basically being told they can because of this insane, what feels like we're on the edge of martial law, coming from the top down of our president right now. What can they do? They're already uniting, the people who are already uniting, the people who are already asking questions, the people who are already trying to help. What can we do when we're being told to stay inside?
Oh man, that's easy. That's easy. One thing that and what's her name? What's her name?
Maria.
And you still
Maria
sipping on
Kustik.
that? And you still sipping on that half a cup of beer? That's Maria, I think one thing I learned about social media is that it allowed everyone to have a voice. Everyone. And you probably have over 200 people on your feed. That is 200 people that you can get to voice your opinion.
Maria's got more than 200 people.
Right. To voice your opinion and to say, hey, look, this is how I feel, or this is what's going on. You can protest at your computer. You can protest in your front yard. You can put a banner up and say Black Lives Matter, and you can do whatever. Just do something. One thing is about movement is if you don't move, you become stagnant. If water doesn't move, you get mosquitoes and all that, and then all that crazy stuff. But if it's moving, that's where power comes from. So just keep moving. Just keep moving. You have to move to a level that you won't allow anything to stop you, especially when it comes to this. Imagine this, and I'm thinking, and I really want to do this project. As a filmmaker, I want to create scenarios of what happened to black people, but switch the character, switch the people. Let it be white people, and then I want to see how people react. I want to see how people react when there's 4 black cops, and there is the one cop got a knee, a cat like my size got a knee on a little white guy. I want to see how people react. That should infuriate you. That should make you upset. I want to do a video of a white woman, riding down the highway like Sandra Bland, and down the street, and the cop pull her over and give her some BS, and then a couple days later they find her hung in her cell. And tell me how that will feel. See, we need to put the shoe on the other foot so people can see it. So if you have the privilege to sit at home and not just get disgusted about the news that you see, create a movement within yourself so you can now create change to those 200 people that are on your feed, that are in your inbox. And so they can go out. I remember the Bible said it takes, one can chase 1,000, 1,000 can chase 10,000. That's how it is. Your one voice can hit 1,000 people, so do that.
I am so proud. I've seen a lot of posts, from my black friends disappointed in their feeds in the silence from their white friends. I have to say I am proud to see my feed. My white friends are breaking the silence, and I am so proud of my circle because they are just spouting and they won't stop spouting, and they need to keep going, and they need to keep going, and we need to keep going long after these riots have quieted and our world returns to normal, and social distancing is no longer in place. Keep talking, because this is important, and it's not going away until each and every person is treated equally. And sure, in this moment I'll say that we all need to be one, but we're not, and until we are, we can't say that.
I invite a conversation with any person of a different background that want to have a cup of coffee or a vegan cheesesteak at Drop Squad Kitchen. So if you're up
preferably the latter, but we could get takeout from a coffee place and walk over to Drop Squad. So
yeah, because I think that would be in abundance. If that's cool with you, I would welcome that to just have a conversation. You know, what you think?
So
what you think, Abundance?
We know Abundance.
Yeah, she gonna say yeah.
I do want to point out, Carrie Christine, always active within our community, makes a very good point. You know, we are in the middle of a public health crisis, so
let's not forget.
For many united in the community, at risk attending large gatherings is an issue. And yes, as Ivan says, there's plenty to do, even if you can't do that. So please, you know, there's another protest scheduled, assuming, I believe it's still on this Friday, 6 p.m. on the riverfront. I do plan to attend that. I do plan to attend that with my mask on. I'm going to do my best to try not to get too close to anyone. You know, if you decide to go out, please make sure that you're being respectful of the fact that we are still dealing with another crisis here, one that is rightfully getting overshadowed, but we still are in the middle of that. So be safe in what you decide to do. One
of my things that I'm all for protests, right? I'm all for protests. I think, and I'm gonna say this, and this is going to come from Ivan. Okay, let's make this clear. This comes from Ivan. I think having this protest Friday is a bad idea. Let me tell you why. Because what we do understand, and not understand, what we do know, that there are groups, and I've seen it.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, there are groups that are coming down and starting these riots. I've seen it the night that I went down, and I think because there is nothing else to tear up in Wilmington on Market Street, that can spill over into the waterfront area, and in that waterfront area, we have a lot of seniors. And I think it can get out of hand. I think, and I'm going to stand by it, that it is a bad time right now to have that protest. Now,
I respect that opinion.
Because we have, we tear up the waterfront, and those older people that live down there, we're going to have a problem. And you have Abundance in stores down there, Abundance Drop Squad Kitchen down there, and all those other people that have been down there for 10 to 15 years. I think it's not the time. You know, timing is everything. And although we're going to call it a peaceful protest, and that's what happened last week, it was a peaceful protest. But
for a very long time.
Now, wait a minute. Now, if you like in that protest, Bree, there were people that were instigating things down there, and people from our. Yeah,
I'm so glad you brought it up because busloads of people were actually getting dropped off on 95, even though it was shut off. They were walking down the MLK exit. Yeah. You know, you saw it. You know your community. You're like, I don't know any of these people. There's one particular incident that stuck with me. Joe Van Horn, owner of Chelsea Tavern, stood in front, as soon as things went south, stood in front of his business all night protecting his business. That's why it wasn't touched. Yeah. He was, the most horrific things were said to him. He was accused of being an outright racist, and people, I won't even call them protesters because they weren't, people that were clearly not from around here, at least, they were not Wilmingtonians, were calling him a racist and saying that he didn't serve their kind.
Yeah. Let me tell you something.
Ivan.
Let me tell you something. I know. I eat there all the time. Shout out to the wings. Look,
it is the late night hangout for anybody who lives in Wilmington. I don't want to guess percentages, but I'm going to guess probably 60% at least of the business is driven by blacks. So, and heck yeah, it is one of the most next to maybe the Nomad, it is one of the greatest melting pots in Wilmington. Are you kidding me?
No, what I seen that night, and again, I'm going to stand by my statement. I don't think that having that protest is a good idea right now. I seen a white, and I hate to keep saying white and black. I seen a white guy throw a brick through the window and vanish in the crowd. And vanish, and that was enough fuel that they needed to start these riots. I don't condone it. I don't think it should happen. Not right now, and that's how I feel. And no one's going to change my opinion about it.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad that you brought that up. And you're seeing in other cities too. There's that one in Minneapolis at the AutoZone with the guy in the gas mask and military gear and the umbrella with like some ridiculous bar that the general public can't access. Like it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. And
yep.
I agree.
Shout out to City Council President Hanifa Shabazz. Hanifa Shabazz. She said, "Advocate for policy change if you want to help," and that's true. That's true. Yeah. That is so true. So Friday night.
I know you got.
Friday. I'm real concerned about the rest of our city. You know what I mean? And when I mean the rest of our city, I think that at the same time, and I think Senator Darius Brown said it best, the same amount of time that we took to rebuild Market Street after what happened is the same energy that we need to rebuild these communities and these neighborhoods. So that's the change that I'm looking for. That's the change that's going to happen, because right now everyone, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, we know we need change. We know we need it now, and we know this is the perfect time to create that change in the city of Wilmington and in the state of Delaware.
You're absolutely right. Ivan, do you have another 5 minutes to push this conversation a little further, or do you need to go?
No, I'm good. Go rock yourself off.
All right. So I want to bring this full circle, and then we can close it. I want people to share your story. So this We Are Love movement, how many years ago was this?
That was 8 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Was it really?
Yeah, it was 8 years ago.
Dang. All right.
It was 8 years ago.
But
yeah.
So my favorite part of that story, you organized this beautiful rally in a very short span of time, and you had an incredible experience with the people who not caused you, but were the catalysts for you to do this in the first place. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and this is a great time to talk about what happened afterwards, right? That a lot of people don't know. So my son and I was at Rockford Park, and we were flying our drone. And I was flying the drone, and I just wanted to get some shots. And lo and behold, we're the only blacks in the park, and someone started hitting tennis balls at us, right? And I heard them, get out of here, blah blah blah, get out of here. And I'm not gonna say I didn't pay any mind, but I wasn't really focused on it because I had my drone in the air. And the closer they got, they're hitting these balls at us, and they're like, "Yo, get out of! You can't be in here. You can't do this. You go back to your own where you're from, and blah blah blah." And I had my camera on, and I filmed it. Right? It was shocking. They called the police. The two white guys that were over there playing badminton walked over and said, "Bro, we seen the whole thing. We're gonna stay here with you when the police come." They were like yo, these people are crazy, right? I blogged about it. The blog had like 100, I think 75 to 80,000 views, something like that. It caused this big thing in Wilmington, right? So I'm now thinking, how do I really talk about this? How do I give a call to action? And the call of action was to put the drone in the air, take a photo of everyone that's been discriminated upon on some level or any level. And if you were gay, if you were straight and black, if you were white, if you fat and skinny, it didn't matter. And we came up with, and shout out to Shoshana, my homegirl. We came up with "We Are Love," and Sophian's girlfriend actually came up with the logo. She was like, "Oh, I love it." I'm like the hashtag king. I can come up with a hashtag. We can put it on a shirt. We can do it all, right? And "We Are Love," just like hashtag Wilmington Strong. We're back. We're coming back. And lo and behold, I think it was 2 days, and I was like, "Yo, this Saturday we're gonna do a photo in the park." And lo and behold, over 200 people showed up. All the politicians that were running showed up, but they showed up not as a politician, but as human beings. People showed up, and then we did a little project. You had to stand next to someone. We made this huge circle, and the shirts were donated by Matt Meyer. Food, water was donated from someone. Please forgive me if I can't remember. And we got in this
probably
big
ShopRite, knowing
no, it wasn't ShopRite.
It wasn't ShopRite.
It wasn't ShopRite. I remember. And we formed this big circle, and in this circle, you had to stand next to someone you didn't know, right? You had to stand next to someone that looked completely opposite of who you are. If you were a white woman, you had to stand next to a black guy with dreads. It was amazing. And then it was like, we did a project. It's like, tell someone your deepest secret. You know, tell someone the time you cried. Tell someone, come up with a secret handshake. And what it was I was trying to bring elements of humanity back that's probably been lost through social media or lost with everyone's day-to-day, to let people know that, you know, what we believe here at DETV, that there's a common with everyone and everyone. And that's what we was trying to find that day. Like, despite of who you are and what you